You ready? Okay, hi. Hello, everybody. My name is Heather Lee Ryan, and I have been in the industry for over 30 years. The salon my husband and I own is set up underneath the booth rent model, and tonight I'm going to talk to you about becoming the better boss, integrating also with booth rent. So having worked in Ohio and New York, I'm grounded currently in North Carolina, and I certainly have had my fair share of bosses. So there's so much ground that I could cover, and tonight I'll be focusing more on our new stylists starting in the industry, and I know that we've all been there. So as I said, booth rent salon, and booth rental is a very different animal. It's being your own boss while working for a boss. So booth rent models are really not a consideration or a great option for beginners, the popular model being commission, but I believe that booth rent salons can work for these beginners. It just takes some time and patience on our end. So to begin, I'm going to be taking you back to show you some good friends of mine right here. Oh, there we are. Okay. Love these groups. So these are just two of my favorite people here. These are teams that I worked with in my past, and I really thought long and hard about what subjects I felt most ardently about, and I thought about what molded my decisions to get me where I am today, and what kept me in the business, and who let me grow and feel like a professional. And from these photos, these two salon owners created a total of 8 salon owners. It may not seem like a lot, but when you have a huge, they have a retention. So that's a lot coming from them. So crazy great numbers for them. So the funny thing is that when I was trying to corral a subject to focus on, I kept asking myself, you know, what would my old bosses have done? And that's when the idea struck that these are the people who made me feel like I could be a boss. So isn't that the kind of passion that we want to pass on? So me to you is what kind of passion was handed down to some of you, all right? So people don't leave bad jobs, they leave bad bosses, all right? Now, when I say all of them were amazing, I never said each had left an idealistic impression upon me, but some did make an impression nonetheless. So my first job in the industry was as an assistant, and I know not all of you have been assistants, but I chose this route to learn from the best. And I started out on Long Island, New York, in a town called Baldwin. And I worked for a master stylist. And it wasn't until I left 2 years later that I realized that the fast forward track that I was on was actually me running in place. You know, I learned nothing more to keep quiet and fold towels. So the depression of seeing another stylist from other shops move upward and onward was very crushing, because being an assistant in the shop, I was never allowed to practice my art. I was never taken to shows or asked my opinion. And had I literally had become an indentured servant at this point, not the hairdresser that I had dreamed of being. So my boss at the time, he really did think that he was doing me a favor, and he was instilling, honestly, a fear to grow and an insurmountable amount of doubt. So had I not got the courage to up and leave and go to another salon, I would have quit the industry. And I swore that if I was ever given an assistant, that I would make sure that they learned from me. So, and that is the passion that I received from that boss, was to be a better teacher. So don't get me wrong. He didn't hate me. He just really honestly did not know how to teach me. So the past is where we've learned the lesson, and the future is where we apply the lesson. And I know you could say, Heather, you know, that's a long time ago, but one could argue that that was then and this is now, and things are very different. And I will tell you, this is still a very prevalent way of thinking and managing in current salons to this day. So I have a name for these salons, and I call them the Wizard of Oz salons. And that's a whole team backing up an ego. And this is not a healthy way to run a shop, I assure you. So my wisdom came from the form of what not to be in this industry. And for that, I'm grateful. And now my question to you all is, are you teaching your staff what not to be? So this is my lesson for you tonight. What you are teaching your stylists today will stay with them throughout their career, if they can make it longer than a year, all right? So we actually have approximately 60% of stylists do not make the transition, okay, from, from student to stylist. That's depending on the school and the area, et cetera. I've got the numbers on the bottom down there. So the tolerance that it takes for these kids to make it through school and onto their first years of hairdressing must be done with decorum and civility, or the numbers drop even faster. So why is it that we expect these traits from students while they're learning and not from ourselves while teaching? We need to rewire the old business model of assistants and new hairdressers treatment. Patience and guidance need to be top priorities with our up and coming artists. So the numbers of failure to launch hairdressers, it falls on us. And if we are the problem, then surely we become the solution. So how do we figure out how to correct our bad habits? It's very easy. We need to fire ourselves and we need to find our fire. You need to fire yourselves before you lose key staff members. We need to start from somewhere, and I believe the beginning would do us some good. I'm going to help you all find ways to find your passion by going back to the way of thinking when you first began your careers. And I want you to realize that your staff, for the most part, are where you once were. So respect the drive that they have and cultivate a better staff. And once you start to recognize the beginner in you, you'll start, committing yourself to becoming a better boss. So it's time to find the better boss. Education is not learning of the facts, but training of the mind to think. I love that. So even though you fired yourself, I do have some good news. I've hired you back, but as an assistant in your own shop. And to show you I'm a good sport, I'm going to let you pick one trait that you hope that your new boss will have. Or in one word, tell me what makes you a great boss in the comment section. So you can write those down. If you guys want to, was anybody listing anything in there?
Let's see. We are waiting. Come on, guys. Type in the answers.
Let's see. Tell me what you think that makes you a great boss.
So we have one coming in. Understand
is open mind, good listener.
Okay. So now write down some of the worst traits that a boss could have. Have any on there? Fiery temper, illogical, nonsensical. There's a lot of bad things that can make a bad boss, honestly. So if I were to have you circle all of the worst traits on there, ladies and gentlemen, that would be your new boss. And looking at those worst qualities that you've written down, how long do you think that a new stylist would continue to work in that shop? Probably not long. So breaking down the traits again, the good qualities that you've listed are in fact what you hope that you've instilled in your own staff. If you're a good teacher, you guide them, you're good with money. The yucky traits that you've listed in all actuality could be a mirroring of you in the worst parts of decision making that you've made as a boss. You're bossy, rude, careless with money. Nobody likes to face these things, but this is what's happening. So I'm not saying that you're all of those at once. What I'm saying is when you apply one of those worst case things, that all of those good qualities that I just mentioned got kicked to the curb because bad qualities just outshined all of the good ones. An example would be when your hairstylist asks you specifically, how did you do a certain updo? So do you A, tell her to go watch a video, 2, tell her to watch another stylist, or 3, find time outside of working to do a side-by-side walkthrough with the mannequin. So each one of these describes how you're teaching. So if number 1, you answered number 1, tell her to go watch a video. Number 1 says you have not the time or the knowledge to help her. Number 2, the other one tells her that she's not worth your time. And the third offers you a chance to be a better boss. Work side by side with the mannequin and show her step by step. Let the staff feel like you have time for them. All right. This is our current mindset and where we need to be. This is honestly where I think that a lot of shops are without even knowing it, but directive, restrictive, exclusive, repetitive. This is where our salons absolutely need to be. They need to become instructive. They need to be thinking expansive, becoming inclusive, and becoming innovative. So I think that these things are very self-explanatory. So the first described the old authoritative ways of thinking, while most salons and businesses found this to be a popular model in time, and with the changes that we've seen in the industry, these ideals have become harsh, ineffective, and boring. So in reference to the second, this model shows that by implementing these ideas, we're expanding on new frontiers of creativity. Combining better knowledge with experimentation can only expect the salons to grow exponentially, honestly.
Hey, Heather?
So, yeah.
Got a question.
Sure.
How can I get to see your slide larger on my screen? It's showing up small. Do you have PowerPoint or you have
How's that?
That's larger.
Woo!
That's better. Or
Good.
can you see your,
I
can
can
you
see
your
him.
notes?
Yeah. I just squidge. I have to move this or it falls.
I just,
Look,
that is,
I don't know where to put it. Damn it. Okay, there you go. Okay, so
that is better. Thank you.
yeah, let's move on to the next slide here. So I'm going to start breaking these things down and seeing where they're at and they fall into your salon. So honestly, we've got directive. Are you on the directive to instructive? Are you seeing that one? Are you looking at directive to instructive?
No.
Heather, stretch if in between those two slides. So stretch that over. See if that because it's with the picture with the girl blow drying is the next slide picture. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
see if it lets you expand that way.
Yeah. Which slide do you guys see right now?
We're seeing exactly what you see. So we're seeing your notes.
You are?
Yeah, we're seeing exactly what's on your screen.
How do I get rid of that?
Um, it's a good question with notes because it may be in
Because
display settings, but
It's fine.
we may have to work with it that way because normally
It's fine.
it's
No, it's
presenter
fine like
view.
that. Yeah.
yeah, I was just kind of hoping you could see that.
We see both slides, directive to instructive, and we also see the other slide with the young girl doing a blow
Daggone.
dry. And they're both about the same size.
Hmm. There we go. There we go. There?
Now we see directive to instructive is large now.
Okay. All right. Daggone. I was hoping I'd fool you. I can't hear you, Andrew.
no. It just was, anyway, sorry to interrupt.
No. No. There's no flow here. Trust me. So,
The information's great.
okay, well, I hope so. So the first column focuses on what we expect from these young stylists right now, the directive to instructive. So if your shop is directive, basically how you're going to categorize that is you're going to be seeing that when you're bringing these stylists in, you're expecting a pro. You have a high expectation of understanding when they come in. And honestly, all that's going to do is create confusion and frustration for that stylist. When you become an instructive shop, then you're creating a professional. You're taking time to show them what you mean, enlightenment and understanding. These are very, very important, guys. And I know that we might be thinking that we're offering these, but break it down and really think about how you're talking to your staff, okay? So the first column definitely focuses on what we're expecting from the young stylists. And we have a false set of reality if we're believing that we're getting knowledgeable pros right out of school. These young stylists have yet to perform tasks that help mold better decisions. Trial and error are, for these stylists, are a great thought. And for most salons, it's give her a chair and she'll learn, and that's your motto. And while current booth rent salons turn fresh out of school students away, we have to for a good reason. They'll most likely go broke, okay? But after turning away several people for booth rent, I got to thinking about what would make a better hairdresser. That was very frustrating. A lot of people wanted to come and work booth rent. They just couldn't. You have to have a good, stable clientele to bring in. But I love a good challenge, and I wanted to see if I could teach an out-of-school girl to be more. So took a hard leap, and I hired an out-of-school girl and to work booth rent, and her instructor actually pulled her to the side and said, I heard that you had a job at a booth rent salon. And she said, yeah. And she said, are you crazy? Are you nuts? This lady's going to take you for a ride. And so once my stylist told her what I was offering, the instructor said, does she have a booth? Does she have a booth that I can rent? So I'll show you my business model for you guys to maybe consider. All right. This is Kelsey. Everybody say hello to her. She is actually my second out of school stylist that I'm training, and the first is well on her way. So I need you to understand that when these girls get out of school, they're given a license to learn. All right. So I offer you this set of ideas. what if we gave them our knowledge of what does work to begin with? Kelsey here is still in school and about ready to take her state exam. We're just waiting for State Board to let them, go ahead and take it. And honestly, I can tell how well you style hair by where your body and your elbows are. So I'm teaching her the correct way first. She's working on one of my clients, and I asked one of my clients if she didn't mind if Kelsey was able to work on her hair, and she didn't mind. She liked it. She loved being a part of the learning. So don't be afraid to ask your clients to help with the growth. So this next slide is Kelsey learning corrective color. But if you look here on the slide with Kelsey, you can actually see her shoulders. She just looks uncomfortable. So she's doing a lot better now, but you can definitely see how uncomfortable she is. All right. So Kelsey asked me, what do I do if a client has blue, green, red hair, and how do I fix this? This seems to be a lot of things that the students are talking about. But what I find funny is that in school that they really don't apply this type of teaching. So what we did is I colored her nightmares that she was having, and I gave her the knowledge and the tools to fix her nightmares, okay? So some years ago, Michael Jordan was asked to do a commercial where he was asked to miss a basket, and it took like over 30 tries for him to even miss it. And of course, because he was trained correctly the first time. So we should be teaching our group of beginners the correct way first. And for the owners hiring new stylists, do not expect pros, expect clay. Hands-on guidance is a must for this group. Their left side of the brain is firing. They'll need to be holding hands with the right side to understand what the whole picture of what they're doing. So when we teach them the correct way first, they'll question what doesn't work later. And when we allow a hands-on guide, you're actually creating an inspired hairdresser to try harder to push herself. So I could tell her all day long how to fix those colors, but until I just let her do this herself, she understood a lot better. It's kind of like a little math problem. I think some of you who are assistants or had, great teachers, they actually would say, blue hair, what color do you want to go to? Give them like a little math problem. Work with them, find time to work with these girls. It certainly does help them to understand a lot better. I love this picture. So, you matter, don't give up. You don't matter, give up. How awesome is that? How close is that? So there are two ways to read this, you either crush them or we lift them. We bosses definitely need to understand that our perception of helping, all right, may come off as rude to the staff. It's hard to turn our bossiness off when we get in a rush. And when we've explained something over and over again, it can get on our nerves. So one of my stylists kept asking me, where's the guide? I can't find the guide. And, there's so many of us hairdressers out there who are like, it's right here, but you can't do that. You have to let her know, you know what? I had the same problem. So don't worry about it. We'll get over this. It's just going to take you a little bit longer. So very carefully how you're working with your staff is going to let them know if they matter or if they don't matter. All right. So it's easy to mistake your encouragement for disappointment. Restrictive to expansive. So the restrictive shops actually are micromanagement. They're eroding confidence, and you're just basically saying, hey, you're lucky you even have a place to work. If you have an expansive shop, then you're allowing them to think and develop on their own. You're building their self-esteem, and you're giving them a place to grow. So the old model shows the restrictiveness that we held so dear in our business. And a good example of this, of how restrictive has really hurt the industry or helped, if you could look at it that way. I picture it like we have all of these hairdressers who came out and just exploded onto the internet with all of their pictures of their before and afters. And these were beginners. And we had a lot of superior hairdressers out there who were scoffing at their artistry and basically telling them to take it down, that they didn't have the right training for it. And I kind of picture like Martha Stewart with Pinterest, how that happened. I don't think it was very welcoming at first. Well, the hairdressers that were, basically giving up, they actually took their stuff down and they were afraid to put anything new up. So let me see here. Many of those girls definitely faded away, but most stayed, thank God. And everyone was not able to be crushed so quickly. So the stylists who were not easily shooed away from their art became masters of their inventions. So the student really actually has become the teacher, meaning we're now raking the internet looking for fresh ideas. and most are coming from the new girls, so are a much needed breath of fresh air. So give them a chance. The girls who became restricted also did one of the two things. They started up their own business or they quit the industry. There was no in between. So understanding the outcomes, we can see that the restrictive bosses are hurting our growth in our industry. So everyone, please do not allow your ego to override someone's passion for breaking the barriers. If your junior team has a new technique, let them show you. I know that I'm a very, very busy person. I don't have a lot of time to sit there and look on social media. My young girls do, but if they find something interesting and they want to show it to me, yes, I'll listen. Yes, 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 I'll listen. We bosses do get very, very busy and caught up on our own stuff. So be willing to listen to your staff. So but by listening and being open to new ways of creativity, it will surely set the example of giving our stylists room to grow. Yay. Build a team so strong you don't know who the boss is. I know, that's kind of crazy, isn't it? So clients ask my stylist working with me, do you own this shop? And the girls smile and say, no, not the shop, but I'm the boss of my own chair. I do want them to know that. These are the words that I've told them over and over again. You are the boss of your own. Do not mistake the client's question for a confusion of power. It just merely means that they saw everyone behaving as a boss, all right? There comes a time in our years of owning a salon that our stylists will be offered other jobs. And this is a very hard subject for some of you. So losing your power guy or girl is a hit, and some of you take it very personal. It leaves a scar on you. And so lasting is your hurt, that you even go so far as to curtail how much of your talent you'll then share with the next crop. So instead of boxing up your talents, I would really like for you to see that by empowering your staff freedom of choice, they'll most likely choose you. Okay, everyone, this is Amber. Okay, she's 2 years out of school and she's doing great. She's a great example for me to share with all of you. 1 month before she graduated out of school, we started her training. Her first task was basically shampooing correctly, because I have no idea. I thought that they had shampooing down to a mint, but evidently not. So learning to, and then the next thing was learning to feel comfortable with the client. And that was really kind of hard, because remember, we have age differences. We have 20-year-olds working with older people, so they automatically feel scared. They feel like they don't have a connection. The connection is, for everyone to know, is that that person wants to get their hair done and they want to look beautiful, and you want to make them look beautiful. So you do have something in common. So don't be too afraid of these clients out there. So, and last is learning to communicate with your client. After she was showing more control, then we moved on to blowouts, and so it goes. So the only thing I can definitely tell you about the newbies is the one awful habit that is coming out with these young kids right now is being on their phone. All right, they're not Vidal Sassoon. Put your phone down, pay attention to your client. That's a problem that I have. That's the only thing that I've ever had problems with the new girls. So when we teach them to commit themselves to the client, then what happens with their clientele, it just grows and grows and grows. So she's doubled in what she's made in 1 year, and her client retention is higher than a beginner who had no help at all. So after her 1 year, I would definitely solidly put her up against a more advanced stylist. Her first year was rough. Short haircuts were hard, but with repetition and guidance, she found her groove. And she's good, and she keeps getting better. So here we see Amber again. And this little goofy smile was because she had a whole bunch of salons around town asking her if she wouldn't mind coming and working for them. Look how happy she is. So it wasn't long before the calls started coming in, soliciting her for jobs in shops in town. So of course they wanted to hire her, and she's excellent. And you would absolutely think that I would be so focused on me and the audacity of it all. But had I been like that, I would have missed her glee in her voice, because honestly, can you blame her? 1 year out and the salons wanted her for her talent. So let's go back to where I was 1 year out. I was still squidgy in windows. So I did tell her to go and meet with the other shops, and if they offered her a better offer, to take it. I wanted to be that better boss, the one that she would remember, that empowered her to make a better choice for herself and not for me. I cannot control what happens outside of my salon. I can control how I respond, and I chose to be happy for her. So Moving on, exclusive to inclusive. Be aware that these seem simple enough. You see a lot of lists of do's and don'ts here. But breaking down the two, you'll find that your shop may fall in the general category of exclusivity more than you thought. Exclusivity, I believe, is what happens to the owners who have settled in and become complacent, citing, if you've caught yourself saying, well, this is how we do things and we don't need change. But by becoming inclusive, we shed the old standards and explore a more diverse salon. And each year, our shop does a different charity event with our community, and we also hold an in-shop event. In past years, we were part of a polar plunge, which is very cold, but we did it for the Special Olympics. And in the fall, we opened up our shop to help a local zombie flash mob. So what we've done this year, and that was our ad for this, this year we started our own Wine About Your Hair Day. So Wine About Your Hair Day is an event that we created. Many of our clients whine about not knowing how to work with their expensive equipment, or maybe even some of their products, or they didn't know how to blow their hair out like we do. That's always the biggest complaint right there. So what we did is we held an event and we closed our shop for business and opened our doors to the public for a Wine About Your Hair Day. So the clients would again come in with their confusing products and equipment, and we would then show them how to properly use the set items. And I did something else. I invited our local paper to come in and see what we were doing. And then I did one more thing. I did nothing. I let the focus be on my staff. Okay. Kelsey, I could see right here, she felt very, very comfortable with doing updos and braids, and that's her comfort level. So that told me that we probably needed to start working with a little bit more with shears and feeling a little bit more comfortable with her tools. Amber here, one of the girls was asking if she could do a certain updo. So what she did is she showed her on the mannequin, she showed her on her hair, and then she had her do it. That was incredible. That was fun. She had a lot of time, and she learned how to anchor bobby pins. So I let the girls have fun, and by doing nothing, you guys, I discovered tons. I was able to observe how each girl was attacking their problems and listening to their solutions that they were offering. That really does let you know where your staff is. If you want to know where your bad link is, you're going to find it immediately in that area. So they gained clients' trust, and the community had fun drinking wine and chatting with us. And remember, bosses, not everything needs to be about you. So we can see a client right here working on a braid. She's doing the bam bam, working with her tool. All right. So if I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. This is Henry Ford, and I really like this. But if you've read anything on Henry Ford, you can see why I consider him a prime example of putting innovation to work. Now, we don't need to build a car to prove we hairdressers are innovative, but what we can do is strive for new and better ideas. This moves us into repetitive, into innovative. So if you're a repetitive salon, you're going to find comfort in your status quo. You're not teaching anything new. And actually look around at your stylist, things are becoming very boring. And if your salon is going to be becoming something more of an innovative salon, you're going to be, focus is going to be switching to what is possible, becoming something more. You're going to be giving your staff something, the spark of excitement, okay? Repetitiveness is definitely needed to learning this new skill, but after you learn this new skill, the reason for doing the same thing over and over again becomes what we then call a habit. So take, for instance, and I know that we've talked about this quite a bit here. If anybody hasn't seen some of the past classes that you've had, one of these was, but take, for instance, the online scheduling system being adopted by salons. This is not a new idea. We've been using it for 5 years. I know it's older than this, but the ease of the system is brilliant, and yet many repetitive salons have not integrated this style of booking. If you ask most salon owners if it was easy to change, they will tell you no, it's not easy. I know that this is one of the key things. A lot of the hairdressers, they're so used to their books. It's really, really hard to just peel it out of their hands. It's very hard, but I promise you, but the online system does take the proverbial 10 hats and turns it into one hat. So if something's out there that can make your life easier and change how you do things, do it. Step out of your box and try these systems. So my advice is definitely for the bigger salons, you may need to look into a system that has a marketing integrated with its features. And for the smaller shops who have more of a laid back routine, think of other applications that will fit your needs. So if you're thinking of breaking out of your repetitive mold, go ahead and just do your homework on these things. But all of these people that are getting on here to talk to you about these classes, they're offering you these types of things. They're offering you big shops, small shops, middle shops, or they're offering these ideas to you. So please, 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 please take advantage of this. So changing your habit can be tough, but the outpouring of clients' praises will be worth the unsettling of your routine. So be open to new thoughts and ideas, everybody. Problem solver to challenger. Okay, if you feel like you're just a problem solver right now and your only job is putting out fires and you're the boss, this has got to be a horrible feeling for you guys. You need to become a challenger. You need to be rethinking your roles, maybe re-image what's been done before. Focus on your staff, all right? So becoming a better boss means you need to be seeing yourself as just more than just a referee or a money collector. We need to understand the moving parts, while small, they're all helping to drive you and your business in a better direction. So bosses, when you open up a shop, it takes a while to discover what works best, meaning where your towel bins go, where your supplies, your coffee machine. I know they sound like trivial little things, but we really do need things to kind of move. So by year 3 of your shop being open, we should be in what I call the cruise control mode. We have the perfect staff. They get along, their supplies are where they need to be, and it's working. You've all pretty much well settled into your shop life. So what then? It's time to rethink your role in the shop. So I don't know where I'm going from here, but I promise it won't be boring. That's what you need to be thinking, okay? So just like you had to figure out where to put your things in your shop, now you're gonna need to take a look at your staff. You're gonna think, you need to start thinking, what are the capabilities of your salon staff? How can you put each stylist to use that would make them feel more useful? How can you lift them up based on their strengths? So don't be boring, shake things up. And if all your girls are loving updos, consider the bridal packages. There was a lady on here not too long ago who was talking about nothing but bridal packages. That was sincerely eye-opening as to how much money is available out there. And you guys are not taking advantage of this and integrating it into your shops. And it doesn't matter if you're a large, small, or medium shop, you can be doing this, okay? So if you want to re-image, consider opening up a part-time booth. Create a half commission, a half booth rent. I know that the taxes and the paperwork are just going to be a hell, but it's a consideration. And you could be helping open up avenues of jobs that may not have been accessible through other salons that are only offering full-time slots. So don't limit your creativity to just hair. Work for your shop and set yourself apart. So during our time off, my staff and I have been making the client care commercials. They're hilarious. Our clients have to wait in their car in their vehicle until our chair opens up. So we thought, why not make it fun? So we made some videos, and we did 3 videos. We did the first one, kind of a funny take on how the shop life has changed. Another one is what we're doing for you. And the other one, I think, was basically talking about some of the products that we have. So while you have the downtime, go ahead and make some little videos. And I'm afraid to be in front of video. I'm just like all of you guys. But honestly, if you just take, and I think what James, you had mentioned it the other day, if you're afraid of it, just show your hands and just show you working with things, but you can actually show some of the products that you're working with in your shop. And you can make little commercials like that for them while they're waiting. It's not a big deal. So these are the little things. So we included it to show our shop has how it's changed in looks, and we tried to make it light and fun of the new requirements. Cough, cough. But we know the client will laugh and hit the door with a smile, and that's kind of what we're thinking. I love this slide, employer to entrepreneur. And I see a lot of employee questions out there, and I see a lot of entrepreneur questions out there. And this is what's going to help you figure out if you're asking the employee question or the entrepreneur question. The employers are stuck in an antique business model and updating the same thing. So did we do this? No. Entrepreneur, we need to use techniques to expand on a tired old model and change the box. So when I say we need to become better bosses, what I'm saying is you need to start seeing your job role for what it is. You're more than an employer, you are an entrepreneur. An employee is happy with getting a paycheck, offering only short-term visions, and I assure you, if you're an entrepreneur, you will be thinking short-term as well as long-term. Employers work in a business while an entrepreneur works on their business. So that's quite frankly how you can tell. So let's see. Yeah. So get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I get very overwhelmed with speeches, and it takes days to put these things to paper and bring them to you, rewriting and practicing speech after speech. I'm not a speaker, I'm a hairdresser. So be easy. But for me to teach, I needed to learn to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. All right. So if you're looking to change your old model and you're not sure how to do it, ask yourself what's making you uncomfortable and focus on that. I didn't do their makeup on the top, by the way. They did it themselves. So I promise you that learning to do zombie makeup was not as easy as it looks. I had one staff member who was terrified to do this makeup, and she ended up loving it. And the newspapers, again, were called to show our fun and diversity. And we did not charge for this because it was to our benefit. And frankly, we had no idea what we were doing, but it was fun. And we learned how to do fun Halloween makeup. So hold an Easter egg hunt, start up a softball team, a bowling team. Consider using these events against other shops as a fundraising event. Reach farther than just your shop. Reach out to other shops as well. All right, this photo was taken and it was put on the front page of the Pinehurst Pilot in 2018, October 24th. Just so you know that a little author with the last name of Sparks was under our event with less than 3/4 of the page. What I found funny about this is this whole town was just turned upside down because Nicholas Sparks came into town. I mean, upside down. And all we did was just call the paper and say, hey, we're going to be doing zombie makeup. And they had fun. They came in, they took a whole bunch of pictures, and I'll be damned. Front page the next day, and there's Nicholas Sparks down there. I bet you he'll never come back here. But isn't that funny, just by opening up and adding things and including your community, how much that affects it? You know, affects your advertising, and it affects your community. And the girls, they loved it. So have fun. You know, honestly, by trying new fun things, we're separating ourselves from the boring routine of other shops that we're doing in town. And everyone had a blast. And I can promise you that the girls that I'm teaching will forget a lot of things that I've taught them, but they won't forget how those experiences inspired them to think outside of the box. So they may forget what you said, but they'll not forget how you made them feel. That's important. And like I said, in time, I think my junior stylists will forget the things that I've told them verbally, but what once was a thought for them from me has now become a routine and a great base for what they're developing into, which leads me into the next subject, which is my business model. And honestly, my business model, it starts with me. I do strive to lift my staff as well as guide them, and I will not belittle them or erode their confidence. And I will always strive to be a boss that they can look back on and ask themselves, what would my boss Heather have done? So fear is a very easy thing to instill, and respect takes time. So by no means does this mean you forget your role. It just means you need to start being the example. You guys are gonna like this. Okay, so this business model is for the new girls coming out of school. They're coming out of school, they're just trying. So this is who this is for. This isn't for my hairdressers who are established and been doing hair for a while. So what we have here is free 2 weeks, 1 year at half booth rent, supervise all haircuts, and pay for 1 class and 1 hair show a year. I know it seems like a lot. I promise you the payoff is worth it. The free 2 weeks is to afford basic supplies, better equipment. My one girl who started here, she was a lefty. In school, they never gave her a lefty shear. They only gave her a right shear. I had to reteach that whole thing. That was incredible. I couldn't even believe they couldn't have done that. So the first 2 weeks, obviously, we're letting them, trying to be able to afford the right equipment for themselves. Okay. The 1 year at half booth rent, this helps to relieve the financial stresses while they're building their clientele. I also supervise all the haircuts. That's the time that I'm investing in it. I check every cut, and we have mannequins in the back to help guide them through any of the chemical questions. So if they have a chemical question, pull them to the back, we pull the mannequin out. I show them exactly what they should be doing. I do pay for 1 class, 1 show a year, and that's the knowledge to grow. I do make them keep going. So in my shop, the motto is, you know, a small shop making big waves. I promise you, when the girls are in here, they don't just settle down and just do their booth. They absolutely have to keep going on. And like I said, Amber is wanting to reach out and work with Redken. And I think that's fantastic. So if anybody, like I said, has a Redken communications in through there, she is honestly looking for that. And I think that's fantastic. We need to push her to do something better. So let's see. Move on here. So business model continued. I do have a revolving monthly restock. So we do all have to chip in buying supplies for the shop. That eases the stress on everybody, and it lets me keep their booth rent down. I do take on extra, like the towels and the cards. Honestly, towels can be the stupidest thing. People can actually fight about towels. If they'll take their towels out and put somebody else's towels in. So to avoid that, I bought all the towels, so all the towels keep moving and going. I do offer 1 week vacation. I do let them work on their vacation if they want to. Not a lot of people let them do that. That's kind of a thing that's hard, but if they want to make money and they want to be there, that's them. You can work. 4-week maternity leave. I do check on them in about 2 weeks to make sure that this is something they do want to come back to. I do offer a part-time chair. Now,
Heather, when you're offering these benefits,
Yeah.
because they're not technically employees, this is what, free rent you're giving them for this 1 week and the 4 weeks?
Which one? For the vacation?
Yeah, for the vacation and the maternity leave.
Okay, for the vacation, they can have 1 week where they can have a vacation where they don't pay booth rent. Now, most salons and honest to goodness, most of the people that I know, if you take that week off, they say, no, you take that week off, you go, you're not working. To me, if that's their chance to make a little bit of extra money, they take your week off, get your free booth rent, but go ahead and work. I let them work. All right. The 4 weeks maternity leave I offer, they don't have to pay their booth rent through that. They got a lot of stuff coming up. I just try and let them relax and do things. I actually go a little bit more into detail with that. It might be confusing for some of you guys, but I offer them the 4 weeks completely off. A lot of hairdressers, myself, I was back to work after 2 weeks. So having that in mind, I did offer that if they want to take off and they want to come back in 2 weeks, so they get the 2 weeks off, I let them work their 3rd week for free, and on their fourth week, they would pay. I know that sounds silly, but take 4 weeks off or integrate yourself back in. I'm trying to help them. It's the least I can do. The part-time chair, that's, if anybody understands, I don't know if a lot of people understand what that is. That's 2 girls working out of one station. You have to make sure that you give them enough space that they feel comfortable that they can both work in that space. The other thing is to make sure that they agree with the days that they're going to be working. They can't be working on the same day. I don't agree with it. I think that there should be a flow. If you're going to be working Monday, Wednesday, Friday, work Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And the only problem that I can say experience is to look at a fire and know that it's hot. This is to you. Because that they are doing a part-time station, they're still a full-time employee. So if I have something like the polar plunge, you have to be there. You are a part of the team. Just because you're there a couple of times a day does not mean you just come in, drop your stuff, work, make money, and go. This is still a team. This is still work.
Hey, Heather, do you make them police their part-time chair? So in other words, do you pair them up with someone else and let them sort out what hours so that the hours are filled the entire time?
It's incredible. There's so many different ways. You can actually have 2 girls who know that they want to do this, and they can actually come in and figure it out, and they're happy doing it the way they do it. I went by one of the people who came in here, and she only wanted to work 2 days. That is incredible. And and for salon owners, you understand, 2 days. So she's going to work 2 days. That opens up the rest of the days, and she's only paying the other part-time of the part of the booth. That's incredible. I do allow my shop, I do a lot of things that a lot of shops don't do. As far as I'm concerned, my shop is clean all of the time because we all work together. But you can work any day you want to. You can work anytime, any day you want to. If you want to work here on Sunday, you work here on Sunday. I don't put restrictions on you. That is a part of me. This is my shop, but they're renting a space. I provide the water, the electricity. There's so many things to it. But if you want to work on a Sunday, work on a Sunday. That's fine. It's finding that owner. It's no different than anything else. Every booth owners have different rules. You just got to find the one that you can integrate with and work well with. So that's that one. So, okay. So how to train your new stylists. I think you guys all kind of know this, but when they're new, you really do need to assess where they're at. And it starts with hands-on. Have her start with consulting with your clients. By watching her and how she's consulting with your clients, it kind of takes a little bit of pressure off of them. They don't feel like it's their client. They really can't mess up, so it's a lot easier. Advance them into blowouts only. If they are doing a great blowout, they feel comfortable. The clients get up and, oh my God, my hair looks amazing. So I'm trying to lift them. I'm trying to make them feel better before I start getting them into cuts. I do offer reduced prices for them so that I could say, well, my blowouts are this much money, but if you want to have a little bit of a cheaper blowout, you can go to my junior staff over here, and they love it. They love the price drop, and they're getting the same job, so they love that. So it's continually working, but there are ways to do it. And it does take a year, I'm not going to lie. So I'm not bossy, I have skills, leadership skills, understand? So what we're breaking into is, which leads us to stylist retention. So if you're having issues with salon retention, you may be hiring, and I didn't put this in there, but you may be hiring or firing wrong. You may be projecting your fears and your failures, narcissistic. You help mold a base, not a clone, and do not erode their confidence. You know, consider it when you're, the new approaches to hiring is asking more questions. Seek counsel with your staff. Before I hire a new girl, I'll actually have her come in after hours. We'll have pizza. We'll all sit down and talk. And you can watch the flow of it and see if everybody's happy with it. And when she leaves, I ask my staff, what did you think? Do you think she'll be a nice fit? If I have a nice balance and I'm going to be bringing somebody in that's going to throw that balance off, she's not coming in. I get somebody else. By letting your staff feel like they were a part of hiring somebody, when that new girl comes in, she's a little bit more at ease, and it makes them feel a little bit better. Because it's scary when you start a new job and you're working with some very talented hairdressers. When you walk in there, it can be intimidating, but it's actually a lot easier when you know that that whole team has all gotten together to hire you. Okay? Support their growth and not their fears. Do not hire based on greed. Do not hire based on, well, I have 2 chairs open, I'll just take it and see how it goes. You are just asking for it. Keep communication alive with meetings. I do offer 2 meetings a year. I'm a smaller salon, so I can do that. And expand their sphere of influence and be willing to act on their ideas. So you've survived 100% of everything in your life so far, so there's a pretty good chance that you'll survive whatever's next. So we've all lost stylists for many reasons, but we also need to remember not to focus on the loss. So that's what employers do. They will focus on the loss and play the blame game. We don't need that. So you're an entrepreneur. You've now learned what doesn't work. You've learned how this loss can help you grow in a better direction. And because of the decorum and civility you now possess, you have quickly moved on to the next better adventure. So hold your head up. Remember, bosses, while you may be teaching your staff everything they know, you've not taught them everything that you know. So owners, remember, people are watching how you hire and fire as well. Try to limit the drama and wish them well and smile when people ask about them. Like I said, I do have, and I'll probably get a lot of questions on this, but the meeting, I hold 2 meetings. So when you tell your staff that you want a meeting, this is most likely what's going through their heads. So I offer the twice-a-year meeting, and they're held 1 week apart. So communication is easier for my group because we're small, we're not a larger salon. The larger salons definitely have to meet more often. So the first meeting, we go over pertinent information needing to be addressed and the concerns. And then 1 week later, I come back with answers. And the follow through on my part is important because honestly, they need to know that I'm listening to them. So if they have questions and they want to know if we're going to be doing fundraiser or if we're getting together for pictures or things like that, I come back 1 week later. Yes, I heard you. I listened. This is what we're going to be doing. This is the time. This is the date. So do not have a meeting to hear yourself talk. They make jokes about people like you because memes like this are from meetings like that. So when I say a week apart, my follow through and questions and dates for upcoming ideas get answered And then I just make sure that their concerns have been addressed for that. This is just an example of our last meeting that we had. I really wanted to know where my girls were. And so one of it was when you've heard about our salon, people say, and this lets the girls define what they think about the salon. So have the staff write down 3 people that they're following on social media. Keep up with them. Remember, they have the drive that you used to have. Ask them what classes they would teach if they could and what they would avoid. So if you're corralling their fears to overcome, it's one thing for the boss to know the weaknesses, and it's another one to get them to admit what they don't know. I am not that boss that if you tell me you're afraid of perms, I'm going to let you avoid perms. Actually, I'm probably going to give you all perms, because you just need to make it. You just need to, don't be afraid of something you haven't done. Don't do it. This is not the business to do that in. At least you can say you know how. So I give them a list. They can also say one in good quality about the person sitting to the left or right of them. You got to fix crazy shit fast. If there's something going on in your shop, you better know about it immediately, because I have actually worked in a shop where there was actually a pretty heated argument on the floor. If I would have been the boss, they both would have been gone, because I promise you, it doesn't matter if I would have done Queen Elizabeth's hair. The only thing people are going to hear is about an argument that happened on that floor of that shop. Guaranteed. Women, you guys really need to pay attention what's happening on your floor. So just throw that question out there and just see how everybody feels about each other. Just touch on it. So, and I do have them list one charity that they believe in, so we don't have to do anything. The charity that they believe in, if somebody feels really, really, like the Special Olympics means something to somebody, then we become a part of it and we back it up. We can't do all year long for it, but we can pick one out of the hat and do it for one of the stylists and let them know that their concerns, they do matter to us, all right? Your mistakes don't define your character. It's what you choose to do after you've made the mistakes that make all the difference. So remember, we are mentoring better, smarter, and more appreciative ambassadors, and we should be making better choices to become the better boss. All right? So I hope what you take away from this is to be available to your staff, to become a great example. And everyone, I thank you. Thank you guys, the Salon Owner Mastermind, for giving me the opportunity to speak with all of you. And if you have any questions, you guys can link me up here on my email. But I thank you so much for letting me be on here and talk so much.
Thanks, Heather. That was awesome.
Ah,
Hey, Heather,
Made it through.
unshare your screen so we can see your face.
I don't know how to do that. How do we do that?
Down at the bottom where it says share, just unshare in Zoom itself.
Oh, okay, hold on. Maybe you guys should have a class for, oh, wait, what was this? What's this? New share?
It should say stop share.
Ugh. Oh my God, Gino, I feel your heat. Stop share.
There you go.
I feel it, Gino. I know I probably threw a lot out there, but I hope somebody got something from that.
Well, Heather, people
Yeah.
have said, thank you so much. So good. Thank you. I as well have a team of rent commission. Thank you. Very clear points. And, you have a different model and it seems to work. And at the end of the day, you're enjoying and you're making money from this model. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, it's not only me making money, it's my staff making money.
Right.
And the incredible thing is with booth rent, because we don't really focus so much as what the commission, you guys really have to watch those numbers. I literally have to make sure that my girls are making those numbers. And keeping them lifted is important, and also keeping them educated. Golly, and I don't mean education as go watch a video. I'm saying they have to be worth their weight in gold when you have a chair for booth rent.
Hey, Heather,
It's
give
just
us
the
an
way it is.
idea how big your salon is. How many chairs do you have?
I only have 4 chairs. And there's a reason, though. I've been doing this. I've been doing this for so long, wearing heels, black heel, doing the whole thing. I just wanted some place that I could be comfortable and let a stylist make money and grow. And I wanted to build better bosses. And you can't do that in a busy shop. You just can't. It's hard. When my stylists have concerns, I gently walk away from my client, and my clients are fantastic. So I'll say, "Can you please excuse me?" And I'll walk over in there and help her. Watching them panic, I don't want to see that. So it's easy. You're doing great. Come over here. Just follow this line. If I start seeing that they're a little bit more panicked, I'll actually do a full swing through on a cut, and I'll leave pieces of hair out for them to go and find. It's like an Easter egg hunt. So they feel like they're doing something, but it's making them check their lines. It's making them completely check their lines. So it was fun. I know
Hey,
that this is not for everybody, but it's
I think you're the first booth rental salon owner that we've had on in all this time, which is pretty surprising. But Kelly, who's on with us almost every single night, thank you, Kelly. She had asked with your events, like your wine event that you had done.
oh,
Um,
take it. You guys can use it. I think it's great.
her question was, is it a free event for the clients to attend? And what about your staff? Do they have to incorporate anything into helping to fund that?
Definitely. The one thing with the booth rent is, and that's where you can get kind of lost as a boss. Don't do that. Tie everything together. When they work here, they are working as a team. So when you offer something like that, the wine about your hair, mandatory, you need to be here. And what that is we closed the shop and nobody did any hair. Nobody did any hair. What we did is we had mannequins out for the ladies to work on, and the women brought in their tools and they were like, "I don't know how to use this thing." It's like, "Well, here, let's show you." And we made them work on a mannequin, and then we let them work on their own hair. And that was really fun. They really left here enjoying it. So we're going to do it again. And the girl from the newspaper, that's our new hip newspaper. It's called The Sway, and it's actually online. And I love it. I think it's fun. And when they came out here, they took pictures, and what I enjoyed about that, and I said that I let them be the focus. I can be the focus all day long. That's not a problem. I wanted them to feel what that was like to have a camera on you. I wanted it when you had to explain things, because people lock up. If you're on stage is one thing. This is foreign to me. I don't know what to do with my hands, kind of thing. But definitely take the wine about your hair day and enjoy it and have fun and include the community with it.
Yeah, that's nice. Kelly, Kelly followed up and said it was an amazing idea to get clients involved. And I will warn everyone, we've done these blowout events where we've had them bring their tools in and try to teach them to work on their own hair. So trust me when I tell you, take Heather's idea and bring a mannequin head and let them work on it, because when it's a 6-hour class because they're trying to do their own hair, it gets to be a little hairy, no pun intended.
I won't really. Okay, so now that's a good thing, because with blowouts, it takes me forever to teach a new girl. And everybody knows, if I don't see your elbows up, and I tell my clients that, honest to God, if your elbows aren't up, you aren't doing it correctly. If your elbows are down, there's nothing. And a lot of people can't do that. Shoulder work for the women. I can't get my arm up. It's laziness. It's laziness. And they're not going to blow out their hair like we do, a lot of them. They're just not. And that's okay. So, my dad was a dentist, and he said, "Floss the teeth you want to keep." Well, here's me. Just do the hair that you want to see. What are you going to do? Just try to encourage them.
That's hilarious.
But
How long has your shop been in business? How long have you been in business?
5 years, and I had left one of the shops, and the only reason I left it is because I moved. I absolutely adored the girls that I worked with. I was just not in the mood to work for anybody else. So that's what made me open up the shop, and I wanted something small and controllable. That's it. And I wanted something that if something happened and we had COVID, coronavirus, that I could afford it. So I can afford my shop. And
Mm-hmm.
if ever my decision and my husband's decision ever made sense, it was during this time. So we've been able to, and a lot of booth renters right now, there's a big talk. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but do I make my staff pay or do I not make them pay? What I did, I didn't charge for a month, obviously. And I've actually not, I haven't done it yet because I can afford it right now. And I just can. But there are some shops out there that can't. So maybe you might want to integrate 1 month, don't make them pay. And if it goes on to the second month, ask for half booth rent. I call it, booth renters are hot potato businesses. It's hot potato. I'm the boss, I'm the boss. Oops, your boss, it's your business. So I do think that honestly, that the stylists really need to think about their boss. And if you're not paying, you're asking them to pay for your rent. That's what it is.
You're the first person to say anything like that, by the way. And listen, we're fortunately, unfortunately, there's a lot of chatter in the salon owner mastermind group, and do you pay, do you not pay? And obviously, it's mostly owners that are in there. And it's, listen, you go into the booth rental for that particular model as a stylist. You really should respect your boss. I mean, they're your landlord. They're not. And listen, you're doing way more than anybody else is as a booth rental salon owner, from what we know. So it's, hopefully they respect you and they say, hey, how can we make this right? How can we help you? Because if you're the one paying the rent in total at the end of the day, like, hey, I don't know, it puts a lot of salon owners in a tough position on the rental side.
It's a hot potato. But that's why I had written on a blog, fool me once. You guys, after this, I know that there's a confusion, but how about this? Let's just be prepared next time. Have something written. Talk to your staff. Talk about what they think is fair. I don't think that it's fair when you are a booth renter or a commission. I do think you all need to sit down and talk about concerns. The problem with it is just the way that we salon owners have to save money. You employees need to save money too. You guys should have had money saved back for a rainy day. I don't know what's going on in everybody's life. Everybody's different. But get together as a salon and say, hey, the odds of this happening again are pretty good. So why don't we all kind of sit down and talk about what I think is fair? I don't mind doing 1 month. But after that, I think we're going to have to do, you guys, this isn't going to go on for 6 months. And it was very disheartening for me to hear a lot of the shops who were only closed for 1 month and were freaking out to the point where they really thought that they were going to be closing because of 1 month. In business, I'm also a hard realist. You should have had something saved back for at least a month. If not, you learned your lesson. Don't let it happen again. But I do know that New York, New Jersey are getting hit. You guys are getting devastated. So when I hear somebody saying, our shop has been closed for 3 weeks, I don't care. So, that's hard, I know, right? It's hard. I'll probably get rain for that one.
Probably, what do you think, James? By the time this is over, I'm going to say 3 or 4 months of being closed.
Yeah. I mean, we're
past our second month now, so it's
we're at the 7 weeks at this point. So I mean, I think it was 6 weeks or 7 weeks now. And my thing is for our area is I hope for June 1st, right? Which I know isn't going to happen. I'm optimistic for June 15th, and I hope at the very latest it's July 1st. But you never know. I mean,
yeah.
But
yeah, we just don't want it to come back to say, hey, it was James. The second hit of COVID is because of James Salon. You don't want that to happen. We don't want it to come back. Cameras be on us. Heather opened up and COVID
it is
came right on them.
And our area too is you obviously don't want them to do it too long. You want them to be smart about it and put some protocols in place. At least, listen, they didn't protect salon owners in the beginning. Protect us now. Come up with protocols so we can follow. A lot of chatter about insurance policies not covering you if clients get sick, but after 9/11 they added terrorism clauses in. where are these guys that are politicians? Add a clause in to protect small businesses because God forbid somebody sues you when you open because you're trying to feed your kids, and then it's like, hey, I survived 4 months of being closed only to get sued and have to close permanently.
We were literally I don't know if you guys have paid attention, but we have been the only industry that has the barbicide. We're taking classes on this. We are doing all of the disinfecting that we can. We're showing visually what we are doing. And you don't see that from a lot of the other businesses. And I'm thinking to myself, why are you guys closing off the very people who are trying the hardest? You walk into Walmart, but yet we're showing you what all the things that we're doing, gloves, masks, and all. And, it's a hard one, but I think that honestly, I'm gonna say I think that State Board is trying to round up some good lessons for us and trying to figure out how to untie this mess to have better rules.
We had a question come in from Carl, and I have a question to add on to that with booth renters because they're not technically your employees. What are some things that you think of that are going to be good ways to have sanitation protocols that they have to follow if the state doesn't mandate them?
Comfort level, gosh, I've got even the girls. I mean, it's all you guys. I don't think it's a matter of booth rent or commission or anything. I think it's you and your staff. You guys all need to get together and say, what do you feel comfortable with? What can we show our clients of what we're doing? And that's why we did the client care commercial. Go ahead and just do some goofy commercials, do it from your phone and say, over here, which you can't see, but, I've got the plastic shower curtain up over here. Do what you can, find out what your comfort level is, go overboard for God's sakes, just go overboard. But as a boss, you still own the shop. They're still representing you. When State Board comes in, this is still our shop. Okay. So you have to remember that those girls owning a booth doesn't give you carte blanche to just do whatever the hell you want. That's what you do out of your garage. This is a step up. So boss up. Don't be afraid to boss up, and they'll respect you more, and they'll feel like they have a leader in that. So be a leader.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point. Be a leader, just not a landlord.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a huge difference.
Yeah. So if you're a booth runner, I think somebody's like, I just want my friends and I just want to work with my friends. And it's like, no, this is still a business. I'm just saying you can be kind about it, and there's different ways, but we can integrate some of these new girls into it. Just takes definitely what I'm saying and what I've done. It takes a while to do. Is it worth it? Sure, it is. It's worth it in the ratings. It's worth it in how the girls feel about working here. Other salons are hearing about it. They love it. I'm trying to think of it more as a go-between salon is what it is. These girls, some of them need a go-between salon, something that they can really learn from.
Heather, I think you're building the difference in your model. The standard booth rental model is they'll take anybody, right? It's just pay the rent, take anybody. So there's no team model or anything in that. And theoretically, by law, there is no team model, but that doesn't mean you can't create that anyway. It's not illegal to create that. So, and I think that's what you're doing because you're building them as entrepreneurs as a junior to let them grow on their own, right? With that, though, one question came in. How do you handle your liability insurance for the individuals?
Okay, I am so glad you asked this. This is crazy. States are different, okay? The liability, as far as like on the building, it covers for everything. You can do, each of the hairdressers can get their own liability insurance, and it's about $100. I suggest that you have that, because if you're not in the shop and something goes wrong, somebody's going to have to pay for that. It's $100, and you can get your booth renters to pay $100 for that liability. I would definitely, there are a lot of people who own booth rent salons that are not hairdressers. There's a lot of people out there who are owners but are not hairdressers. For them, I would say you had best have those girls pay $100 to ease that concern. it's a smart move by somebody who is not a hairdresser. It's a easy thing to have. I would say.
Yes, some of the comments are coming in that they have to, and yes, you are right. Every state is different with regard to that. But even if the state doesn't require it, it's a good idea to make them have it anyway.
Yeah, it's $100. It's easy. I do think that it's a little bit harder to find. Like, I don't think I know that the State Farm here doesn't really have it, but I do believe that there's a link up for hairdressers for that where you can get on there. It's $100. I know you girls spend more money on stupider shit than that. So just get it and have it and put somebody at ease, you know?
Somebody else asked about your pricing formula, how you come up with your booth rent, your monthly rent. What is your formula for that?
Okay, I take into effect what's fair and what's going on around this town. I do know, I hate throwing out numbers because I don't want to, kind of squish somebody.
And you don't need to, but do you first calculate expenses plus profit and then come up with a number, or do you do that and then look at what others are charging and then go somewhere in between?
I think I've just been doing this so long that I knew what to charge and what it was worth and what the girls would be worth and what they would be making. Until we got our online system and we could look at numbers, that absolutely helps you to decide how much your booth rent should be, because then you can see what the girls are making. I do have them on a scheduling system. So the scheduling system breaks down what they're making, and it's good for them for taxes, because then I can just give them their numbers for their taxes. And they have an idea, so you can. The only thing I would say is, if you're going to price high, all right, if you're going to price a higher number than what you know, you feel a little edgy about it, you better make damn sure that your girls are worth it, meaning that they are Redken, they're on stage, are they traveling, are they setting themselves apart? That's what makes it worth it. You can't be charging these girls and act like they're, if they haven't even been out of town. Some of these girls are just go to school in town, work in town. And the booth rent in one of the shops, and I would never name it, I would never say it, it is so astronomical. And I know that they have a fantastic group in there, but some of the younger girls that are in there are really fighting to try and keep up and make those booth rent payments. They're literally living to make the booth rent payment. And as far as I'm concerned, you just have to be smarter than the average rabbit. If you feel like this is a little bit much, you either go and earn it to become that much money, or you just walk away and go figure something else that you can afford. And that's a lot of the problems that are happening right now. People aren't living inside of their means. The salons that are saying, I want it, I'll get it, and I'll figure out how to pay for it later. Those are the ones that are going to close because they're not really thinking. So.
Hey, Heather, there was a question that came in on Facebook from Tracy. I'm paraphrasing what she's saying, but since you're taking them from school and you're sort of helping them to build as their stepping stone, I guess, do you charge them differently? So when you take them out of school and you say, hey, for you, rent is half price for XYZ, but typically the rent is this. So once you graduate, once you make your first 90 days, you're going to go to the normal fee and everybody's at the same rate, or do you charge different after that based on the chair, besides the hours, I mean?
Okay, so for the first 2 weeks, and when they're on the floor, they're graduated, they've got their certificate. First 2 weeks that they're on the floor, they're actually working with clients. And I have enough clientele that I can just whoosh them on over there. They are making money, okay? The harder parts for them are short haircuts, but long hair, color, blowouts are very, very easy for them because I've actually worked them. So 2 weeks are free. And I tell them very specifically, those 2 weeks that you're working and you're getting that money, all of that is going to go into the equipment that you need. If you need a better blow dryer, I like good equipment. You better have a good pair of shears and you better have a good blow dryer. So they save up for that. So then after that, what we do is we move on to half booth rent for a year, 1 year, because that gives them a little bit more financial stability. And it also gives them a good clientele to build up. So when I move them up to the full booth rent, they're ready. They feel a little bit more comfortable and it's not so hard. So
But
that actually it works.
Who's generating clients? I know at the beginning.
Good question. For you booth rent bosses out there, you probably will have to work a lot. I have to work, and I'm not gonna lie, I probably work sometimes almost 7 days because I love what I do. I love what I do, and I don't mind it. I don't work, 12 hours every single day, but I'm here all the time. And by them coming in and seeing me, I'm introducing them to the new clients, and they're talking. They're all talking. They're getting to know each other. That is helping me to move new clients in, to push the new clients off. A lot of times with booth runners, you guys get settled. I can't take any more new clients. I can't take any more. Well, you better. If you want your business to grow, you better take new clients. You better find the time to take those new clients. So I do take new clients and I move them along, and that's how we do it. But by me working as hard and as long as I do, they get the extra clients. I won't be doing this forever, but I do feel very confident knowing that these two girls that are working and learning, it's incredible. It's so incredible to watch, how well they're doing. Honestly, they're working at somebody who's been doing 5-10 years of hair, no lie. It's crazy. I'm inspired by them, so it's fun.
I think that's a wrap. Heather, thank you so much for your time this evening. You did awesome, by the way, worrying in the beginning, right?
I said, amateur night, yay. I did try. Sorry about the notes.
Hey,
I
listen,
thought I had it down.
your mic and your volume, your mic and your lighting were probably one of the best for. If you thought it was amateur night, I'm like, wow, she looks like a pro. It's like well lit and sound was great. So
And then you're like, those are her notes. I told you I'm a writer.
And a good
My
one.
husband's military, and he's like, oh, honey, you need to PowerPoint more of that. And I'm like,
actually, I can
you
see him in the
PowerPoint
mirror.
anything.
I can see him in the mirror behind you, guarding the door, so people aren't trying to barge in.
Oh,
I can
you're
see him
not
right
kidding.
there.
That's my SF guy. Yeah, he's up there. He heard you. He's up there.
You have to hear this.
Yeah.
This was amazing. Thank you so much for coming in. I can't
Guys,
even
thank you
begin
so
to tell
much.
you how much this meant to me.
I
Thank
hope I
you.
made you guys proud, and I hope that more amateurs out there like me have something good to pass along. And I really thank you so much, everybody. I was so nervous, so you guys
You did
made me
great.
feel very good.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
Thanks, Derek. Thanks, Andrew.
Really, really happy.
Andrew, James, thank you. Thanks all the people that showed up tonight. Tomorrow
Yeah.
night we have the famous Nicholas French on,
I want to see
and it's
Gino.
his birthday, so that should be really good.
I just love Gino.
You love
So
Gino?
stay tuned.
He's just so cute. He's just so funny. Yeah, that's fantastic, guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Good night, guys.
All right.
Great.
Good night,
Night.
everybody.
Night.
For attending tonight. We'll see you tomorrow night. Thank you.
Thank
That's
you.
great.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.